Welcome to devlog number 3 for Epoch. This update focuses on the Stone Age. It's been 10 months of work on this. It has a lot of content, a bunch of stuff. I'm probably not going to be able to cover everything in this video, but I'll try to go over most of it and the most important ones. Here's the new main menu. You might remember we had the launcher before. The launcher is completely gone. Weird idea. I don't know why I made a launcher. We don't really need it. So the game now just boots straight to the main menu like this. And you can see we have a few buttons here you can press with a little animation when you hover over them. You have settings, which you can look at first. It's very bare bones at the moment. I'm planning to add a bit more stuff. You can select some resolutions. I'm not sure if these are all I should have now. I'm probably going to add more over time. You can turn on and off VSync. There's an FPS limit. I might change this to an input, so you can put whatever value you want. You can toggle on and off full screen. If you do that, the game will prompt you like, do you want to keep these settings? The settings will automatically revert, and then it counts down. Pretty basic stuff, but it's in the game now. You might also have noticed we have a load simulation button. In 0.16, we're now adding saving and loading. There's a credit screen with some testers that have helped me a lot throughout the development over the past years since I started. No one in music yet. That's coming in 0.17, hopefully. Sound effects, I'm not sure when we're adding that. We'll see. Let's show you the load menu. So here's what it looks like. I have a couple games on my on this PC. I have the Hungary games where you can see English or Belgium. Now it does tell you if there's a version mismatch, like here, the red text. And we can try to go ahead and load one of them just to show you like what's going on. I'm gonna load 86,000 BC. Okay, so the save didn't work because it was from like before I made some changes. But here is the Stone Age. So you start in 100,000 BCE. You can see that there's one culture spawning in the beginning, and it's randomly generated. So it'll get a randomly generated name. You can read what the name means, and the population, which just hasn't updated yet. It's actually not 0. If I just play like a little bit, then you see, yeah. It's 30 people. They own one tile. They're able to feed the 110% of their population, which means they have a 10% surplus of food, which will help with like birth rate and stuff. Their food security is 100%. It means you have been able to feed your people pretty consistently recently. So if for a few years their food drops down and they're not able to feed everyone well, then the food security will also drop a little, and then it'll slowly recover once they're back to 110 or 100. Down here, you can see they have a unity bar. Unity affects like culture splits and stuff. A low unity means the culture might split into different cultures. You can see they have a new system called culture ties and ancestries. For the first culture of the world, this is just gonna be the same name as their actual culture. So their ancestry is the same as their culture and their culture ties as well. Ancestry represents like a long-term lineage, kinda. If you look in the modern era, you can see that European cultures have Indo-European as one of their ancestries. They can have multiple with different percentages in each. There's usually a main one, which will be over 30%. And in this case, it's 100% because there's no other ancestries in the world, obviously. And culture ties is more like a short-term culture influence thing. You'll see like English culture, they might have French or, well, it's called Romance Latin, actually, culture ties, and some Scandinavian as well, but very little. And that's more like the short-term influences on the culture is kind of what it's meant to represent. The system is pretty bare bones at the moment, and it's not fully finished in the modern era. Some countries have their culture profiles made, some don't, you know, kind of like that, just kind of working on everything. And the next one is their language, and I have a lot of like etymology type mechanics in the game now. So the languages will evolve and they make their own words and stuff. And let's say this culture splits, for example, then the new split culture will make a new language that is identical to the one it split from, but like slowly they'll drift apart over time organically. It'll be pretty cool. This new culture will then generate a name that uses the language rules that are stored in the language to make that new name. The next one is the homeland, which is the name of their homeland, and each culture land like this usually has a origin tile, which in this case would obviously be here. And controlling the homeland tile or origin tile is very important for the unity. It gives you like more stability. So a culture that migrates away is more likely to transform or split or things like that. And if you see a split, they might have the same homeland, like they might call the place the same, or they might have a different name for it, or it could just be a different place altogether. When you click it like this is where you open the culture land details. You can also open tile details, which is a menu that isn't finished yet and doesn't have much info. And then you can choose to play as them. Now this will only work if the culture has enough people. I think if it's below 15, it's impossible, if I'm not wrong. And there you go, now we're playing. So this works very differently from the modern era. It's basically a different game at this point. You see you have these little guys down here. These are roles you can assign. And if I like unassign people, they'll go into this one, which means unassigned. So I can choose how many people I want to do each thing. Like I can have 1 scout, and then these are fishermen, and I can have 4 hunters, 5 gatherers, like that. If I then play time, you can see we're getting yields now. So these both have very high yields, which is really good. And we're also bartering food, because each role produces some trade value, which is then exchanged for food, as long as you're inside a culture land like this. My population is now up here. You can see a lot of information displays have showed up here. And you have the same one you saw in culture lands with population fed. So it works the exact same way. It shows how many of our people are actually fed and if we have a surplus. And then we have cohesion, which is kind of how well your people cooperate together and how well they get along. And having a low cohesion can mean your group can split or people can leave. This is especially harder to maintain when you reach higher populations. I'm going off of Dunbar's number, which is like I think psychology thing. How many relationships one person can maintain, which is about 150, like social relationship. So once you reach 150, cohesion will decline from there on. Other things that affect cohesion are a sense of safety. This isn't actual safety, like how safe you are, it's how safe your people feel. So it's more like a mental thing. And there's lots of things affecting this. Starvation is a big one. Deaths, predators, if there's a lot of predators in the area, it might drop. And it's really important to keep high. If this drops, then it'll also damage your cohesion. And low sense of safety can cause different events to happen, like arguments and stuff, which can have interesting effects. Then you have area knowledge, and this is something that slowly ticks up. If you have scouts employed, which is why I put 1 scout here, it'll go way faster. And you can see if I open the area details tab on the side here, it says I'm in unknown lands. So I don't know much about this area I'm in, but if I wait a little, you can see it gains a little color here because we're slowly learning more. Now it's not unknown, it's obscure. I think the next step, it's gonna unlock some data for us here. Acquainted. And then once you're acquainted, you can get a little bit of information. So we know we can't fish here. There are no fish. But there's a lot of plant life, a lot of predators, but very few herbivores. So that means these might get overhunted because both humans and predators are hunting them. So it's not looking good for this area. And you can see I gained another guy. We went up 1 population. So I assigned my my little person to do gathering. Now we're familiar. Anything above acquainted doesn't help much. It helps some with different calculations the game does. Like I think the danger in hunts is modified by area knowledge. So low area knowledge makes hunts more dangerous. And I think your scouts, the chance for a scout to get lost is also affected by it. Oh shit, we just gained tattoos tradition. I did not get to that point yet, but yeah, you can have traditions too. These cultural lands will have different traditions they can get. Tattoos is by far the most common one, and tattoos helps with unity. They all have different effects. Traditions does. You also have traditions for gathering, hunting, fishing, like that, which provide resource gain boosts to the respective fields. Oh, okay, we got an event. Now, as I talked about before, there was a lot of predators, very few herbivores. Because of this, predators, driven by desperation and hunger, due to a lack of prey in the area, because of this, they've come for us instead. So there's a pack of 4 wolves. We can choose to escape and leave camp or fight. Escaping and leaving camp comes with a severe cohesion loss, while fighting means I might lose some people, which can also affect cohesion. Your group fends off the wolves, losing 1 combatant and killing 2 wolves, it says. So we lost 1 person. Killed 2 wolves, but they're driven away. Now this area seems dangerous, so we might want to migrate. You can also see our culture is spread 1 tile south. Let's try to go south. We'll go to the coast here. So you can use the migrate button on the bottom here to migrate, which is located inside this menu that you unlock when you're playing hunter-gatherer. And yeah, this whole, I call it the action bar down here, is brand new. So this is where we located the random country button, which doesn't do anything in this era because there's no countries. This button is not used yet. And this button is map modes. Here you can open the role selection, so you can choose to close it if you want to. And then you can use this and click to migrate anywhere. Or you can just use the tile marker and then click migrate here. So I can do like that. We'll move down here, and when we're migrating, we lose a little area knowledge. So if we move far away, we're not going to know anything about the area. But we're kind of familiar here. A little less than we were up here. But our people have been here before. So we can start fishing here. So I'll assign some hunters to fishing. And because we have one scout, we were able to discover a site, which is a new thing in the Stone Age. Now, this is a berry bush field, which provides a gathering boost to our gatherers. So I'm actually gonna queue up some more gatherers. And you can see our population is increasing. You can queue role assignments like this. So now I'm like, I want 7 people in gathering. Then it'll slowly just go up to that number because we're getting more people. The berry bush is depleted, but we have found a grain field. And berry fields deplete way easier than the grain fields. So the grain field is a lot more reliable. But it might deplete as well. We actually need some technology to be able to really utilize it and negate the chance for it to deplete. Now we can see there are no predators here. None at all. But we have a little bit of herbivores, which means the herbivore population is likely going to grow because there's also abundant plants. So you can kind of try to predict how the ecosystem is going to change. The game runs this really crazy ecosystem simulation underneath that you can't really see unless you have crazy developer things like me. So yeah, the world is divided into chunks now. There's a lot to get into there. I'm not going to get into it. Another culture showed up here. You can see here that it's not related to our culture at all. So it's a brand new one with a crazy name. Ooh, we also have some cultures up here and up here. And if we look at the other places in the world, there's one here. In the future, it would be cool to have like a fog of war system. Imagine if I only knew this area. I wouldn't even know they were here unless I went there. I'm thinking about it. I have some ideas how to do it. I've added real world elevation data to the map. Obviously, you can see the graphics of the map has changed a lot. And part of that is from the elevation map, which is this one. Yeah, it affects a lot of things, like culture spread. You won't see culture spread that much into tall mountains like this. And if I try to move and migrate here, I'm gonna walk a lot slower. It also affects the temperature, which in turn affects the vegetation growth, which in turn affects animal populations and human populations. So it's pretty cool how I like intertwined all these systems. I really love doing that in this game. Just making all the systems work together in a very dynamic way like that. And because of that, I've seen a lot of realistic things happen. Like I see a lot of cultures settling here, Fertile Crescent. Here is where the first civilization showed up, like Sumer. So it's pretty cool to see that happening in game. I've also seen Maya. Like I saw a culture that was just settled in this area. Really cool. And if you look at North America, you can see most things happen on the eastern side. There's most people here, which really reflects like the real world. I think it's really cool. There's also a new policy system. Here is the policy button. And you say, oh wow, here's a lot to change. Right now we're in anarchy. There's no like leader of any sort. People just kind of make decisions in discussions is what I've written here. So we can choose like the source of power. We can have rule by many, which means votes are held to make each decision. Rule by few, which means we can have a little council decide. Or rule by one. So we're going to choose rule by one. And when you change the source of power, you're going to get this event. Your group has decided they no longer want to be leaderless. A single leader known as a chieftain will be selected to make all decisions for the group. Which people will qualify for this important position? And then you can choose. Anyone within the group can be chosen. Or you can choose the chieftain will be decided by physical prowess. Anyone can take leadership by winning a duel against the current chieftain. Which kind of emulates like Old Norse societies. And probably a bunch more. Then you have oldest, one of the elders will be selected to be the chieftain. So they're always selecting the elders. Or ritual authority, which means the chieftain has to be one of the shamans in the group. So it's more like a religious style thing before proper religions. Or you can do bloodline, The chieftain will be chosen by blood. Only members from the most prestigious clan can be the chieftain. So this is going to be kind of like a precursor to monarchy and stuff like that. So we're going to go with bloodline, which makes us into a chiefdom. And then you can put gender preference as well. So you can be patriarchal, equal, or matriarchal. And if you do that, it'll also change the text up here. Now, changing these policies comes with a cohesion hit. So now we have to survive kind of like a unstable period. And here you can see argument after argument eventually led to the final drop for your people. 22 members have split off from your group and started their own band. They have rejected any form of leadership. Their leadership style is anarchy. So there's a lot of ways the split events can go. They really didn't like that we picked one leader. They just left us. It was 22 people. That was a huge portion of my group. And you can see they're on the map here now. So it actually spawns a new group that moves around. Because you're not the only group that's moving around here. The culture lands represent a bunch of small groups in the same area, sharing the same traits, like cultural traits. But these groups are more simulated. It's more like your competitors, kind of, or friends. Okay, I found a cave, and it's on the coast even. I'm gonna migrate there. You can see it kind of lights up a little bonfire inside the cave once you move there. But because I moved so far, I lost my knowledge of the wheat field because it's out of range now. So I'll have to rediscover it if I go back. Oh my god. A lot of resources here. So yeah, that's kind of the gameplay loop for this era. There's nothing more to show you really. I mean, there's a lot of events that can happen, but a lot of them are pretty rare. You also don't have to start playing immediately like I just did. I spawned immediately. Instead you can just watch the world and then choose which culture you want to play. So it's kind of just up to you when you want to jump in. And if you look at the new saving system, I can make a save. Boom, done. Okay, let's take a look at the modern era. Focus of this update was the Stone Age, but you can see kind of how the new map style looks in the modern era too. Like if I zoom in, I think it looks gorgeous. I really like the changes. And one thing you might notice is that Denmark finally has its flag on the mainland, because now I have a system that recognizes exclaves. So every exclave gets its flag on it. You can even see like Bear Island here under Norway. Each island has a flag, so you can go down to the Falklands. You can see the UK flag, or this little thing that I forget the name of. And the flags scale, so based on the size of the island, they change size. So if you look at Hawaii, you can see each island has a flag and they just get smaller and smaller. If we play as Argentina and we invade Bolivia, what I'm trying to show you is that they're gonna avoid these mountain ranges here, because Pathfinder is now affected by elevation as well. So they're gonna go all the way up here before they go into the mountains, because they know they have to go into the mountains. And you can see they get slower. But yeah, they're all coming from the right side here, because it's faster to move on the flat land and then go up into the mountains. So the pathfinding has been improved in that way. Now if we invade Bolivia, you can see this new little thing here shows the wars that a country's in. So you can click any country to see which war they're involved in. And if we look at Argentina, it shows we're in the Bolivia conflict as an attacker. And if we look at Bolivia, it shows they're in the Bolivia conflict as a defender. And I want to show you something cool now. Once battles start, you can actually click on them, open the battle details, and this menu is now in the game, and it shows things. So you can inspect every battle, and they'll fight over tiles. If one side loses all their tiles, they're forced into a retreat, but usually the battle just ends with them killing everyone. And I want to show you sieges as well, because we have a siege screen now. So if we look at this military base, see this brand new siege screen. It shows all the attacking armies. This is supposed to be like a wall, and it shows the fortification value. It shows if any reinforcements have come to aid the defense. It shows which side is attacking, because not only the attacker attacks, sometimes the defender can choose to attack, although it's pretty rare, but they can choose to do that to get rid of the occupation. You can see exactly what units are in the base itself. Now another Argentinian army joined, and the fortification level is dropping slowly because the fortifications are getting damaged in the fighting. We just had a war happen over here, Spain versus Portugal. You can see it's right there. You cannot spectate sea battles yet, but I will add that at some point. That's really all there is to show. I mean, the policies screen here is empty. It's been a lot of bug fixing. Some new countries have been added. I'm slowly adding countries. I'm not rushing to finish the map, because it's all work in progress, and I want to get more mechanics in instead of focusing on editing the scenario. I do have some exciting plans for the next update. It's going to be focused on diplomacy. I think it's going to make the world seem a lot more reactive, and it's also going to make the game more difficult because you can't just wage war everywhere without consequences. So yeah, thank you for watching. See you in a year or something when I make the next one. Bye bye.